Hello, and welcome to the start of what I hope is another new series. I have a Patreon, and on it, my patrons can ask me to do different types of video. So one of the things that's come up is, could I do a video showing a very, very basic jumper knitted on a very basic knitting machine? And the answer is yes, absolutely I can. So this will be a series where we go through and I will show you how to knit, in this case, a child's jumper, and it'll be absolutely straight stocking stitch, no patterning, no nothing, and also no toys in the knitting machine, no ribbers, no punch cards, no cast off machines or anything like that. It's as basic as you can get. Now, to do that, we're going to need three things. We're going to need a knitting machine and all of its accessories, which you can see here. We're going to need some yarn, and I'm going to use this 4-ply acrylic yarn, which is cheap and cheerful, and it works. And you're going to also need some contrast yarn, some waste yarn, so you can cast on and off and so on. And you're going to need all the tools that came with your machine. Now, the last thing you're going to need is you're going to need a pattern. Now, for me, the thing I like most is using this piece of software, which is called Knitware. Unfortunately, the software is no longer made, or no longer sold. You can find it on the internet, but it is the very devil to install, and you need decent computer knowledge to do it. And so, whilst I'll be using this particular piece of software, I will say that you can find software elsewhere. Now, if I just show you, if you go to your computer and go to open up a Google page, other search engines are available, and you search for Needles of Steel, like that. Okay, Needles of Steel, you will get to the Machine Knitter's Treasure Chest. You will find lots of free patterns there. Okay, and then the other place you can go to is machineknittingetc.com. Okay, which will find all of actually the pattern books and also the service manuals and all the rest of it for your machine that you can download and use. But I'm not going to use those. I'm going to use my piece of software for a very good reason, because we need to talk tension swatches. When you get a pattern out of a magazine or out of a book, it will say you need to knit a tension swatch where you have a certain number of stitches to 4 inches, or where 4 inches is a, where 40 stitches is a certain length. And therefore you need to knit a tension swatch to see if you can get your yarn to be the same size and shape as the pattern is. Now, the reason why I use this software is that it works the other way around. You knit a tension swatch and then you type it into the pattern and it adjusts the stitches for you. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the machine and I'm going to show you how to knit a tension swatch, and that's our first job. So I'll just set it up and then I'll come back to you. Right, so I've threaded the machine up. Now the first thing to say is I'm not going to go through all of the individual techniques that I use, because I've done that already on my Machine Knitting for Beginners videos. However, I will do it in real time, and I may fast forward through, knitting 5,000 rows of the same thing. So, to knit a tension swatch, I'm going to bring forwards quite a few needles. I'm going to go about 60, 30 either side forwards, okay? And I'm going to cast on this particular machine, you cast on using the nylon cord, not a cast on comb, but if you have a cast on comb, you could use it if you wanted to. I'm going to cast on at about tension 5, which is apparently not working today. I wonder why that is. Oh, because I brought them forward, sorry, my bad. Okay, there we go, I've cast on. So, it doesn't have to be beautiful, and because I was trending on the yarn, in this case it very much isn't beautiful. Okay, it just has to work. And I'm going to just quickly cast on a few rows like that. Now, because this is an issue, and I'm still treading on the yarn, it's making an absolute mess, but it does not matter, okay? Because all I want to do is I want to get some knitting that works some of the time. So even if I make an utter horlicks of casting on, which I have, it doesn't matter, because I just need to get a tension swatch going. Okay, so let's do that and see what happens if I knit a few rows and see if I can get the sort of stuff out. Lovely. Now, as I say, I never worry about making us a Horlicks at the start, and I absolutely have, because once I've knitted a few rows, I can then get it all to be nice and loose, get it off the machine, untangle the bits where I've accidentally hooked it over, okay? And what I want to do is I want to find a stitch tension that looks nice. Now, if you were knitting to a pattern, you would have to choose a stitch tension that matches your pattern. So you would want to knit a tension swatch in using 5 on the dial, 6 on the dial, 4 on the dial, and so on, and keep on tweaking the dial until you get it exactly right. Because I've got software that will adjust the pattern to meet my stitch tension, I can knit exactly what I like. So what I'm going to do, now you need to knit quite a lot of rows for this, so ideally what you want is around and about 40 or 50 rows at a minimum to be able to do a tension swatch. So that is precisely what I'm going to do. I'm going to set my row counter to 0, and I'm just going to bust through 40 rows. So I've just quickly busted through 40 rows. I actually quite like that tight tension. I think it's quite nice. I like a tight tension on my jumpers anyway, because this is for a child, so she's going to pull it loose anyway as it goes. You might like a looser tension, that's absolutely fine. You do the way that you want it. Now, having done that, what I need to do is I need to be able to measure the number of stitches in 10 centimetres and the number of rows in 10 centimetres. Now, I don't think I've got quite 10 centimetres of rows there, so I'm going to do another few rows and make sure I've got at least 10 centimetres of good, clear knitting. Right, there we go. This is my tension swatch. This is what I'm going to use. Now, it's important to say that you shouldn't measure your tension swatch straight off the machine. And let me show you why. So I'm just going to release the yarn, and I shall actually take the tension swatch off the machine altogether. Okay, so let's have a look. Here we are. Now then, you can see that it is all curled up, and it's not the shape that it's going to end up being. In fact, if I pull it, you will see that the stitches actually change shape. So what you have to do is you have to block it. Now, because this is acrylic, you can't just steam it, okay, because it will go all horrible and limp. So what you have to do is you pull it to stretch out the stitches, and then you wet it and you let it dry as flat as you can under a book or something. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to find one that I've done earlier, and we shall come back and I shall show you how to measure it, and then our tension swatch will be done. Right, here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark with a Sharpie. I mean, you can knit in a piece of alternate yarn if you want, but I like marking it with a Sharpie. Okay, one of the stitches. There we go. Mark that with a Sharpie. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure 10 centimetres. So I'm going to start at the beginning of this stitch, and without stretching it, I'm just going to put it all the way along one row, 10 centimetres to there, and I'm going to count how many stitches there are, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 31 stitches to 10 centimetres. Okay, so that's my first thing, is that there's 31 stitches to 10 centimetres. Okay, now if this was a pattern, it would say you need n number of stitches to 10 centimetres, which is fine, because if it was you need 30 stitches to 10 centimetres, then you go, ah, well, 31's close enough to 30. But what you can do is you can stretch it out a bit vertically, and you can stretch it out a bit horizontally to adjust the number of stitches. But if it just won't fit, you need to try another tension swatch with a different tension, looser if you've got too many stitches and tighter if you've not got enough. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do exactly the same thing, but for rows. So again, putting it down a row, not stretching this at all, okay? Just going down a row, and I am counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39 rows, okay, 39 rows to 10 centimetres. Okay, and again, if I were having to do it to a specific tension, then I might have to go back and adjust. But that's how you knit a tension swatch. It's very quick and dirty. You will find videos of people doing it much, much better than me on the internet, but that's the quick and dirty version. And now I'm ready to plug that into my software, print out a pattern, and then we can get on with some actual jumper knitting. So I shall see you next time for part 2, which is some actual jumper knitting.